Projecting teams' process support costs. The spreadsheet example we looked at is not intended to scare people away from putting a more extensive and effective team infrastructure in place. It is, however, intended to demonstrate what the actual upfront cost of a properly supported team infrastructure can be. You see, I've been on the other side of it where managers were not aware of what all the costs were going to be, and when they saw what those costs were, it caused them to become very hesitant about expanding the program and supporting it over the long term. This section of the lesson provides more detail on how this spreadsheet works. You may want to set one up at Like It yourself, or just let me know and I can send one your way. So let's start with the infrastructure factors. These three values are shown in the spreadsheet in the upper left corner. These three values are the foundation of your team infrastructure. They represent the normal setup for a project team process. The beauty of any spreadsheet, however, is the ability to look at what-if scenarios. So for example, what would the cost at the bottom of the spreadsheet change to if more meeting time was invested each month, but with fewer members per team in an attempt to get more projects done in a shorter amount of time? Next, we have our team support ratios. These four ratios are the key to both this spreadsheet's power and the ultimate effectiveness of your project team infrastructure. In general, the higher these ratios are, the greater your team process output will be. How effectively you spend the time investments represented by these ratios, however, is of course very important. But you will gain increases in team effectiveness simply by investing time in each area. The example values shown represent my opinion of what the minimum level of investment for each ratio should be. The first three ratios are linked to the number of meetings value. The time you enter in these cells is multiplied by the number of meetings per month value to reflect additional time investments that teams need. For example, for every meeting held, you should also expect to invest 1 hour of training time. The fourth ratio reflects the amount of time per month in support help, such as engineering, maintenance, accounting, or information technology, that each active team will need. Then we have labor costs, and this is often what makes people hesitant, so please work with ballpark numbers, work with averages. They will still show the effect when you run what-ifs. You should enter the applicable wage rates for your company in the first, second, and fourth cells of the labor cost section. The third cell will recalculate automatically as you do this to show the weighted average cost of an hour of teamwork. Use the fifth cell to show the degree to which you plan to use overtime for team meetings and between meeting work. Number of active teams. In this example, the organization chose to add an additional project team each month. While this isn't realistic to actually do in most cases, it was done here to illustrate how the cost of supporting a team process changes as the number of active teams increases. It seems like, of course it does, but look at the magnitude of change, the rate of change, the slope of the change. In most applications, this number would stay relatively constant during the course of the year, and then we might ramp our teams up a little bit with each operating year. People hours per month. The formulas in this section of the spreadsheet will change as the values in the infrastructure and team support ratios table change. Looking at project team support requirements from a people hour perspective is useful when projecting job coverage needs and for making other similar comparisons. And it's very important to look at what impact team meetings will have on job coverage. While a 12-team cost that is over $100,000 might seem imposing, my experience tells me that it really is not. Most organizations easily lose that much money per year in waste. Your primary challenge lies in matching the 12 teams up with those waste areas that are currently costing you the most money. If you don't know where those areas are, you probably need to go out and find them. Projecting the cost of team growth. Now, this is the chart I was referring to a little bit earlier where we added 1 team per month, and that's why we've got a constant appearing slope on the chart. But notice how the labor cost per month changes. For some managers, this section will be the most interesting. For others, it will be a bit daunting. It shows what the cost buildup in labor dollars of the selected team infrastructure will be. These cost totals are helpful to use when trying to decide what the output expectations of your project team should be. The most important thing to keep in mind here is that most people mainly think of the in-meeting cost when they evaluate whether or not they want to pursue a formal project team process. That's the first line here in the cost buildup. What they fail to consider, however, is that teams that only receive this level of support, teams that only receive in-meeting time support, are relatively ineffective, and for sure they're slow to market with their efforts. It takes an extended amount of time to put their improvements in place. It may take a while to get what you paid for with your investment. Other costs to consider. This spreadsheet focuses on labor costs, which are the primary cost of a team infrastructure. It does not reflect the cost of training materials, outside trainers or consultants, presentation materials, team recognition, or the like. Most importantly, it does not reflect the investment return that will be realized, so it just shows dollars going out. I thought about building a positive-negative cash flow feature into this spreadsheet to address the return on investment concern. Demi's thoughts about things that are unknown and unknowable, however, convinced me not to do so. One cannot accurately measure, even with the best work systems, the added value of synergy, the added value of improved working relationships, project ownership, and most importantly, the added value of personal pride that are natural byproducts of an effectively supported project team process. I've seen that synergy. I've seen those improved relationships time and time again, and they lead to a fully engaged workforce. And that's the coolest thing about an effective, well-supported project team infrastructure.